what was the point of this 1974 Halloween meeting, and where was it at?
It wasn't a meeting. It was at the party when that.
We went to a Halloween dance in Van Ness Park.
Yeah.
And got into it down there. And they grabbed my little brother and they had a knife to his neck.
Who's they?
BNG, Van Ness Park.
For the dime moves in the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, little homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you've been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, man.
A lot of, lifting weights, and I was on swole, they start calling me Big Miz.
Original stutter box. East Side 5, who's Pebble on Bishop, Mid City Gangster Bloods.
Kev Mac video, you know, this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul.
This is from the beginning.
And backed us out of the park.
So why is this date brought up? What's the significance of this date?
Because that's when all the
that date
beefs
is when
dropped.
all of us came together. Kyle, everybody, we came together.
Because of that one incident?
Probably. That night is when we came together, though.
But what I remember
Kincaid.
is this, yeah. What I remember is
about Kincaid.
Yeah. What I remember is this from that situation. That was the night they came together, but that's the night when everybody dropped all the beefs they had amongst each other. Because, I mean, even before all that, like say, Kyle and them behind his house had the fights in the alley. Everybody trying to recruit Mind Creek. We went from there to Arlington, had meetings on that. It was just kind of like shaky in the beginning. But, that night is when everybody just agreed that it's just going to be one battle. You know what I mean? One get there.
Ain't nothing there.
Yeah. But
So look, when you guys crossed over and formed your own identity, so you guys are the new kids on the block. Were you guys being challenged by established gangs? Were other older Crips saying, who are these guys? Challenging you guys to see where you guys stood at?
Hell yeah. Hey, man, look. Check this out. I know you looking at stuff. Check this out, man.
Pookie.
Look. They used to walk through the hood. Keep this in mind, too, though. Every Sunday, all the Crips in L.A. used to go to Centinela Park, right? So, when you went up there, you had to represent, right? Like you said, we was new kids on the block. And, especially us, we was the youngest out of that crew. And we going to different neighborhoods. Like, everybody in the hood didn't go to everywhere. So we going to Compton, you know what I mean? When Salty got killed.
That is true.
Me, Slu, Big Rick, them, like I said, I'm 15. We going all the places. Long Table. We going to the east side, dealing with the East Coasters. We really represent this brand. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, every man from the 60s that go everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So we was promoting that brand, and that's the brand that stands. Because everybody else was trying to promote their brand, but that Rollin 60s brand, that's the brand we was promoting. You know what I mean? We didn't turn 6'5", we didn't turn none of that. We didn't turn West Side Crip, we didn't turn none of that. A lot of people didn't believe in this brand. I'm going to keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them didn't believe in it. You know what I mean? And matter of fact, they didn't think it was going to last, and we outlast 6'5", we outlast all of that.
When you say all that, you're talking about the things within our neighborhood.
Within our neighborhood, all the other little cliques and all that, the 6'5s, all that. All the neighborhoods, in this area, not up in the hundreds and all that, they have their own thing. But I'm talking about around here. You know what I mean? Because even on 630 Crenshaw, they tried to start 6 Tray Hoovers. That shit didn't last. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of little shit was trying to start up. Then Kojak, them on 10th Ave, tried to start their own neighborhood, get down.
I heard you on the phone earlier with Face, and you were mentioning an incident that you guys had with the neighborhoods out of the hundreds. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, it was just like they was established, and we had to fight for acceptance. So if you're the new kid on the block, you know, they trying to pressure you into doing something for them or being under their banner, and we wasn't going like that. That wouldn't happen. So it was an incident at a party by Horace Mann. We get into it. You know, mother had a little sawed off, popped off. We went to the Hunters, and still we went into the Hunters to one of them UG parties. They was trying to push the line, but we stood tall. You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, they accepted. They were like, "Oh, these niggas is down." So, you know, and that was the end of it. It wasn't no big beef, you know, nothing like that.
I mean, what was the incident over? Both of you guys claiming the same title, same neighborhood? I'm just saying, was that the incident?
Yeah, because we claim a neighborhood, and I don't know if they're the original neighborhood, but they was established. They like, who is you cats to, you know, be claiming neighborhood, and we don't know y'all. We only know some of y'all. You know what I'm saying?
We both on the west side.
Yeah,
So-
we
so-
on the west side.
So basically, we didn't get neighborhood from the hundreds. We didn't get that from them.
No, like neighborhood was a generic name. You know what I mean? Just like Crips is damn near generic, but neighborhood when it hit the west side, you know, there was a lot of neighborhood Crips. You know what I mean? But that's the name you was hearing. So quite naturally, you gonna if you don't know no better, you're gonna mimic what you see. You know what I'm saying? And if just like West Side Crip, okay, you West Side Crip. Baby Crip, okay, you Baby Crip. But then when you start getting building your own brand and your own identity, that's when all the identifiers come in.
Let me ask you something, Slu. Did Face go to 59th Street Elementary?
No.
What school?
Face went to. It started off in Manchester Elementary. And then came to Hyde Park.
Did he go to school with Snoop in elementary school? What was his relationship with Snoop?
They had a horseman.
That horseman? Did they become good friends?
See, Face he just got that personality, man, that pulls you.
I want to see if we could tie ourselves into the original Crips. If not, no big deal. So I want to ask you, did we have any relationship with Raymond Washington, and what was it?
Yeah, we had a great day. Coming up to the parks on Sundays. Raymond was a solid dude. Raymond was solid.
And don't forget when we used to go up on Vermont and Century, the churches, hang out
Sundays.
with Raymond them on the lowriders and shit. Raymond was in the car.
That's what we used to do. We go to the skating rings, we hit Hollywood, then we go to Rosecrans, and from Rosecrans, we go to Church's Chicken. It used to be on Century and Vermont. That's where all the lowriders would meet up Sunday night.
And that's why I was exposed to Raymond. You know what I mean? Raymond was a good dude because he was like a man that believed in squabbling. He was just a good dude, man. You know what I mean?
Where were you at when Raymond got killed? Do you remember that day at all? How about you, Stone? Do you remember hearing?
I can't say. I remember when it happened, but I can't tell you where I was at. All I can do is I remember the rumors of who was responsible for all that, but I don't even want to elaborate on that because
that's cool. What was Raymond's death a big deal at that time, or was Raymond's leadership already waning at that time?
That was a big deal. I mean, for me, I can only speak for myself.
It was waning, but for us, it was a big deal. For me, it was.
What can you tell me about Tookie and his relationship to our neighborhood since he lived on 69th? Was there any ties with him when you were coming up?
Oh, really?
Look.
That's cool. I just want to get it out there.
Tookie was more or less on the Eight Tray side, but I mean everybody kind of like see Tookie at the parks, this, that, and other. Now we didn't really function with Tookie. Now Lil Tookie used to come to the hood. You know what I mean? He used to come on and function with Babyface us a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Tookie would do his own.
He was his own man. Now we used to go to Compton when he had the boys' home on Santa Fe, the Little Red House. And then he used to have another one up there on Normandy he used to be at. I used to function with him like that, but as far as, like hanging out with him, being friends with him, nothing like that. Tookie was on a whole nother level. You know, he was more like a superhero.
This is Los
Angeles. Earlier, you brought up Barefoot Pookie. What does he have to do with our neighborhood, if anything?
He used to live over there for a sec.
He lived over there for a minute, but Tookie started paybacks. Him and Bunchy. Them is the original paybacks. I said payback.
Did a big brand too.
Did Pookie have any Crip influence in the 60 streets? Did you guys look up to Pookie? Was he anybody?
Well, he was.
Well, we respected him.
Yeah, he was respected. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, again, you got to go back to for me, I can only speak for myself.
I don't.
For my crew, it was this. We gonna respect you, but we ain't listening to what nobody else say. We gonna do us. You know, we gonna build this brand from the ground up. And that's the kind of attitude that we was instilling into the dudes we dealt with. When we was out there recruiting, is you gonna have this kind of attitude, and this is how we gonna do it. We gonna function as we function. You know what I mean? Because like even when we was at war with different people, we wasn't getting no help from nobody. A few, you know, like when we was cool with the Eight Trays, you know what I'm saying? That was one thing. But you know, like we used to function with the Hoovers too. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? With the Eight Tray Hoovers, especially Lil Bam, them, Lil Nun, they used to be on 2nd Avenue and on Arlington. Lil Nun used to stay on 76. Big Smiley, all them. We used to function with them.
Lil Nun stayed over here.
Look, y'all had Hoovers on deck on AG.
Yeah, exactly. And see, like Rick them used to bring them over there, and they used to test us because we was new. So Faith them bringing over there just to test niggas to see who was down. You know, like, but they used to come up to Crenshaw. I've been Tony Stacy. They used to come up there. Here come the Hoover. They coming up there jacking, doing their thing, and there was only a few of us that was gonna resist that and all that.
So is it safe to say the Hoovers were the original bad boys of the gang scene back then?
Yeah, they was one of the original bad boys in my eyesight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, mainly Bulldog.
Yeah.
Because Bulldog was a shit starter.
Bulldog was an East Side Crip. I met Bulldog. I knew a Bulldog before he went to YTS. And I formed a personal relationship with Bennie when he came home. And we were friends, me, him, and Tony Stacy, Dead-Eye Clint, Smiley from Eight Tray. We were inseparable in Sugar Bear from Eight Tray, Hoovers. These are Hoovers. And he was original Hoover Crip, Sugar Bear. But before that Hoovers ever started, he was Raymond Washington's #1 man, and he's the one that would go out and knock on doors and go up to schools and flip some shit. He was a hog. That's what he was. He was a fucking hog.
During the mid-70s, Babyface, Cutes, and Bulldog were arrested by police and charged with the incident involving the Brims gang.
When I first got in the gang, so we used to leave Arlington, me, Face, them, Rick, them, and a lot of us, and we'll walk straight down through by Horse, man, keep going down 71st, holler at Devil them from Eight Tray. Then you had 8 Ball, you had Trey Ball, them, they was youngsters then, but 8 Ball, Slow 4, all them, keep on going down 70 with 71st, keep on trying, I forgot the Hoover that stayed right there on Vermont, and on the west side of Vermont, about 2 houses off the corner, we stopped at his house, because back then the Brims on Vermont came all the way up to like 68th or something like that. So we walk down 70, we'll stop at Dude, and then we'll go across Vermont, and Tony Stacy lived behind the liquor store. We'll go over there, and then face them. They used to have a church on I think it was on 79th and Hoover, or 81st and Hoover, where they used to meet at. It was a abandoned church. And then face them, go over there and function, and with Lil Dunn and them, then we start getting caught.
Let me ask you this: Who was our original rivals back then? Who was you guys focused on as far as fighting and shooting? And
Inglewood Family.
that was our.
Inglewood Family was the main one.
Man, hey, and like, look, man, Inglewood Family was a motherfucker.
Really?
Because they were so close, they could walk. They would walk down there
And they was relentless, though. They used to come through, man. They used to jump out of bushes on us. Look, check this out, man. Look, but look. I gotta give them their props. But look, listen to these the names that they had, though. You had Murderer. You had Nasty Ed, Lil Ceasar. You got the Border Rats, Pepper. You got fucking Richochet. Man, I mean, even just the names alone.
You know they said
you got Red. You got Dirty Red. I mean, just the names alone. You like, what? And they come through, and they was and see. They prepared us to be who we are because they was like us. They was relentless. They was players. We meeting at parties. You know, they getting at the girls. We getting at the girls. And they used to come in the hood. They wasn't. I'm gonna give them their props. They wasn't
They used
scared.
to come down to White Mountain.
They wasn't
They would
scared,
come down
man.
to White Mountain.
They'll come to White Mountain and do what?
Man, they look, man, bust on us.
Shit, shoot at them, order their food, catch them over there.
Man, one day we walking up 4th Ave, right? I'm a little youngin'. We walking up 4th Ave. You know, we got our things and Ricochet and them jumped out the bushes. But me and them cool, you know what I'm saying? But they jump out the bushes. But them dudes, they come down 4th Ave, man. I mean, like, them was some real dudes, man. You know, and you got to keep this in mind, man. They was like, to me, they prepared us for every else thing to come. Because just the walk from Arlington to 2nd Avenue where I lived at, so I used to have my burner out. Because ain't no telling where they going to come from. You know what I'm saying? Because they kept it cracking. You know what I'm saying? Murdering them. I mean, them dudes, they like, we'll go to parties in their hood too, though. You know, and then we was right next to each other. And then like in the 70s on the other side of Florence, we claim up to 75th. They was 76 back,
Didn't
right?
Big Country live on 76?
On 75th.
Country stayed on 75th.
And
So we had homies in that zone.
Yeah, but I mean, we were saying that was our zone, but that was kind of like the soft part. You know,
the gray zone.
But like when you get to 76, you had Terry Brown, them.
That's where they hung out at.
Yeah.
Where they hung out at?
They hung at Lil Ceasar's house.
Yeah, and Terry Brown.
Terry Brown stayed right down the street from Clinton. He stayed on 75th.
No, he stayed on 76.
So
he stayed on 76.
So what was going on with the V&Gs and the Brims? How come that wasn't our main focus?
But that was a school. They was functioning, but that was more like a fist fight. You know, very seldom shoot. Inglewood Family, they was more, for lack of a better word, they was more gangsters. They was coming through.
The Brims are right across Western. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
but they wasn't like the Inglewoods.
Doing it like the family.
You know, man, look, check this out.
Was Terry Godot still around at y'all time?
Well,
he wasn't coming through?
But look, I'm going to give you an example, S-Mac. I'm going to give you an example. It's a Sunday, right? It's hundreds, if not thousands, of Crips up there. Now we up there having a meeting with the 8 Trays, right? Babones, Richochet, who else was up there? They walked through Centinela Park because that was their park. You got CPO. But now here you go like about not even 10 Inglewood families. You got all, and we up here deep. And so we on them. Well, what's up, cuz? They like, what's up, blood? They giving it up. They come right in the middle, facing them. They come right in the middle, sit down in the meeting, like this here. And was talking, you know what I'm saying? This how much heart these dudes had. Then when they raise up, Snoop and Bev get into it with Ricochet, Babones come up shooting.
According to Inglewood Police Department, they knew exactly who did the shooting, but the Crips refused to testify. It was said things like this are to be handled in the streets.
I think that's when whatchamacallit got shot in the ass.
The loose booty?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, so I don't take nothing from them. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Them dudes are some real dudes, man.
What about Donald Ray and the V&Gs? They wasn't
that was
a force?
but that was a different kind of force.
They would come through while we was at school.
Yeah, that was jump you at school, fight, fight, jump on you, try to take something from you. But they would, you know what I mean?
That's why when school let out, we went home in a group because they would catch you.
So let me ask you this: since we're talking all that, who was the first homie that we lost in war? Who was your first friend to die, Slu?
First one.
You guys are giving these guys this crazy gunplay status. Who died with all that gunplay going on?
But look.
Who died, man?
I'm gonna tell you
who died in the 70s?
That's not really a good question because you're looking at it like this here. In the 70s, you gotta keep this in mind too. You might have one pistol with 3 bullets in it. Any nigga shake off three shots, or you might have one driver with revolvers. It wasn't no nines and no Uzis and all that shit in the 70s. You get more fist fights than anything. Now niggas coming through with the 4-4s. The Eagles had a fucking carbine they used to shoot at us, but we didn't get a lot of casualties up there. Matter of fact, one day we even had a meeting with them on 76 and 5th Ave at the Circle.
What you mean you had a meeting with them? For what?
Man, I don't know. Facing it, we all went up there, man. We went up there and had a meeting, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what, I still don't remember. I was at the face about that today, if you remember that. And I asked him what was that about, because I didn't forgot. But we did have one meeting with him. What it was about, I don't remember.
So Face had personal relationships with these dudes?
Yeah, because he was in camp with him. I mean, we knew each other. Man, some of us knew each other because we used to walk up 5th Ave to go to 5th Ave to the movies and shit. You know, then we used burgers. I mean, back then, your face was your rep. That's who you was. It ain't like they didn't know you. You know, if you was real, they gonna know you. So it ain't, you know what I'm saying? You might keep a pistol. Like I kept a pistol on me, but that was beside the point. You know what I'm saying? You know, you busting like that, you might hit up a car, you might wound them. It wasn't a lot of deaths till the real guns came into play. And in the 80s, and then like you dealing with 15, 16-year-olds, so it ain't like you getting out walking up on niggas and doing that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different situation. Nowadays, it's just a whole different situation, man.
So basically, that whole little war with the families, there was no casualties. And
I can't say it wasn't no casualties, because I mean back then, man, people was doing stuff and you don't know who was doing what. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't a lot of casualties.
Who from the hood died in the 70s?
Man, there was a few people, man, died in the 70s. But I mean, I can't. It ain't like you just put your name on it. That's in the 70s, dude. You know what I'm saying?
when I look at the RIP list, the only people Tyrone's the only one that died. That's 79.
Yeah, but
the first one.
But he wasn't the first one to die in the hood. That's the first one that was relevant to us, as far as with the Eight Tray. It was people getting shot back then, but it wasn't like a big thing. It wasn't a lot of people getting killed in the city of LA like that. But that doesn't make that war less relevant, because it trained you for what was to come. Because I mean, them dudes just come in with just different kind of guns back then. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I like to say, I'm gonna give whoever props that got it. You know what I mean?
Go on and give it to him, man.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't blowing their horn, but that's what was real back then. You know what I'm saying? You know. And then when the Eight Tray war come out, that was a whole different level. You know what I mean? That was a whole different level right there.
So since you touched on that, I'm gonna dig into that a little bit. The actual dude that got convicted of Tyrone's death, I looked him up. The dude is only 14 years old at the time. So a 14-year-old kicked off the biggest war in LA gang history. Explain that to me.
Well, it's just like when you have a good friend and he does something to you, it hurts more than a person you don't know, right? So when that shit happened to Tyrone, and not only that, Tyrone was Big Rick's little brother, plus he was somebody that was grooming. He was getting money. He was he was a squabbler. He was all that. He was getting, he was just that guy. And his brother had a lot of significance. You know what I mean? But we tried to earn that out for almost a year though. You know what I mean? Because like I wasn't here the day it happened. I was in Texas because I had got more or less when I got kicked out of Crenshaw after 12th grade. Mom them shipped me to Texas. But then, so I was out there maybe 9 months, 10 months, then Tyrone got killed.
On March 8, 1979, Tyrone Hardiman was killed. A 15-year-old juvenile was taken into custody in connection to the murder.
Then I come back. You know what I mean? So now we trying to work through whatever, but when Odie shot Baycott, that kind of like put a strain on all that.
When you say you guys were working it out, were you guys like having meetings at St. Andrews?
Well, we had the big meeting at St. Andrews, what me, Feecey, Roddy Pace, all of us took our homies up there. Because at that time, Rick them was going with the people that was older than us, they didn't either wasn't there or they didn't want to participate or maybe they was in jail. I don't know what the reason for that. But so when we got to St. Andrews Park, me and Rayford was the one was talking about whatever. You know what I'm saying? He was talking about he run the 8 Trays. I'm like, we don't have no leaders, but I'm up here now, whatever. So all that pop off, all the fighting and all that.
So it was a big rumble at St. Andrews Park.
Big rumble. The helicopter got so low you could have spit on it. You know what I'm saying? That's what kind of like broke it up. But and with all that said, and see, like Tyrone got killed in March. So for me personally, from March, I had caught a Fed case where I had to go do 13 months. So from that time, from March until I checked in, I had to turn myself in. It was like October, September, October, right? And me, Rayford, Baycott, Rip, and Keithstone, I was staying on 85th from Kansas. We had a meeting. We still trying to work it out at the house. But like I say, we was cool, right? So we tried to work it out up there. The motherfuckers started getting high. Thing over. I put everybody out. We gotta go because I gotta go in, right? So then I go do my 13 months. When I come back to the house, the war was on. You know what I mean? Cause
So look, the older 8 Trays, they didn't try to sweep it, knowing this was a 14-year-old kid that ruined relationships that go back decades.
Well, look, man, to be honest, bro, didn't nobody really want that. But once Baycott got shot, that was kind of like a strain on the situation, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when it came on Arlington, they was coming over there to plead their case like it wasn't about that. You know what I'm saying? But, Odie is who Odie is. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, man, he wasn't hearing that. He just like, the little homie just got killed. He shot Baycott in the chest.
So Odie was one of the older niggas that ran with the bullshit. He was participating in the war. He didn't sit it out.
Odie was a motherfucker. That was my big homie. You know what I'm saying? He was
he
was a hitter. You know what I mean? That's the crew we won with. That's who we function with.
So Slu, I want to ask you something because you're a little bit older, and you got a baby brother from Eight Tray. When you heard about this 14-year-old kid killing Big Rick's son,
his brother.
His brother. I'm sorry.
Was not from Eight Tray. We just ran up there real tough.
Okay.
We've never been from Eight Tray.
Well, when you heard about a young Eight Tray killing Rick's baby brother, you and Face and all you older cats, what was y'all opinion, stance on that? Did you guys just look at it as a little kid issue, or did you look at it as a neighborhood issue?
I didn't look at it as a neighborhood issue. I thought it would be worked out. When I say I didn't think of it as a neighborhood issue, I didn't think that it would go the way it did. Things would turn out the way they did.
Were you in communication with your partners from Eight Tray during this whole period of time? Or you had already backed out?
No, I had backed out. I was in the motorcycles.
The Brothers of the Sun.
Riding bikes.
Brothers of the Sun, right?
Yep. And I had problems out there. That's a whole nother story.
I want to ask you something, because I seen.
Well, that's a dope game thing.
Yeah. Who was the first Crip death that you know about?
Mo. Big Mo.
Tell us who Big Mo is.
Maurice Machon from 9-0. First Crip that I know to get killed.